Good morning, Facebook. I am Megan Rogers with Indiana SHIP in the Northwest region, and I am here with my co-hostess, Melanie Gerlin in Southern Indiana, and I believe Susan Spilly is with us as well this morning. And we have a presentation on Medicare and special enrollment periods. So we're going to go over the times that you can make changes to your Medicare plans if you meet certain criteria or at certain times of the year. So we're just going to dive right in, and I believe Melanie or Susan is going to help behind the scenes with the slides for me this morning, so thank you. So, also before we get in and I forget, feel free to chat in your questions on the chat function of the video on Facebook, and Melanie or Susan will share those questions with us as we go along, and we should hopefully be able to answer them for you. So the first question I have for Melanie or Susan is, can you change your Medicare insurance whenever you want?
No.
No. Susan says no. Melanie, do you agree?
You should be able to, but I guess Susan's right.
We would like you to be able to change whenever you want, but that just with Medicare, that is not how it works. You can't just wake up any day of the week and say, hey, I don't like my Medicare plan anymore. I want to change it. And I have had calls from clients and they're kind of in panic mode and they go, well, I enrolled in this plan, but now that I'm in it and it started, my doctor doesn't take it. And they want to change. And unfortunately, you may not be able to, depending on why you changed in the first place, what time of the year it is, and what your situation is. So we're going to go through some of the always there special or always there enrollment periods, and then the special enrollment qualifications. So if we could move the slides up a little bit. Next one. Next one. All right. So these are our enrollment periods that are always there. It's except for the first one, they're always in these time frames. So the first one is our initial enrollment period. So this is when we're new to Medicare, either because we're turning 65 or because we have had Social Security disability for 2 years, and now we're going into our 25th month of having disability, and Medicare will start. So the initial enrollment period is 7 months. It's 3 months before your 65th birthday or your 25th month of disability, then your birth month or 25th disability month, and then 3 months after. So during those 7 months, you can get your A and your B and sign up for drug coverage, supplement, or advantage plan. Then we have our general enrollment period. Now, this one is only for people who did not get A or B during their initial enrollment period and did not have creditable coverage. If you have creditable coverage, which means it's good as or better than Medicare, then you can delay your Medicare penalty free. So this general enrollment period is for people who didn't have creditable coverage and delayed their Medicare. So they're A or B or both. So you can only get A and or B outside of your initial enrollment period if you did not have creditable coverage during the general enrollment period from January 1st to March 31st. When you get your A and or B, you're then able to get your drug plan, advantage plan, and most likely a supplement. Then we have our fall open enrollment period, which is always from October 15th to December 7th. A little bit of trivia for you. We also call that National Grouch Day to Pearl Harbor Day. And that's when you can review your drug coverage or your advantage plan and change either of those. And you can do multiple times to change it. And your coverage will start the 1st of January. Then we have our Advantage Plan open enrollment period, and that's from January 1st to March 31st every year. So if you start the year with an Advantage Plan, then you can review your plan again and change it if you feel that is best for you. You can only make one change during this time, and it will start the first of the following month. Next slide, please. All right, so now we're going to talk about other enrollment periods that could apply to you throughout the year, depending if you fall into one of these situations. So next slide, please. All right. Bear with me here. I am on my phone and I need to make my slide bigger. Okay, so the first one is if you basically move. So if you change where you live. So when you're in a Part D drug plan or an Advantage Plan, you have those based on where you live. So when we help you change plans, we need your zip code. So if you move zip codes, even if it's down the street, you need to contact your plan, your Part D or your Advantage Plan, and see if you're still in that plan service area. If you're not, then you have a limited amount of time to change your plan, and it's usually about 63 days. So if you move to a new address that isn't in the plan service area, maybe you move to a new address that's still in your plan service area, but you have new plan options in your new location, you might be able to change. Maybe you were living outside of the US and now you've moved back. That should give you a special enrollment period to change. And then if you're in a nursing home, this is a big one that people don't realize. So if you admit to a nursing home, either long-term or short-term, just for rehab, if you live at a nursing home or you discharge from a nursing home, you can make changes to your plan. And that there's some benefits to that. If you're on an Advantage Plan, you may not get your full 20 or 100 days of rehab coverage on an Advantage Plan, or the Advantage Plan may not be in network with the nursing home you want to go to. So there's pros and cons to that, but that's a really important one to know about. And then maybe you were in jail or incarcerated and now you're released. You get to make changes to your Medicare. Next slide, please. All right. So if you lose current coverage, so let's say you had Medicaid as a secondary. If you lose that Medicaid, then you get a special enrollment to make changes to your Medicare, because maybe that Medicare plan that you were on when you had Medicaid is not the best for you now that you just have Medicare. You're looking for something that maybe has less out-of-pocket costs or different coverage now that you don't have that secondary coverage. Maybe you left your employer or union, and this includes COBRA coverage. You can make changes. Maybe you had an employer drug plan or an employer retiree or union plan that's creditable, but now you lost that coverage. So you're able to get Part D drug coverage now. If you had drug coverage through a Medicare cost plan and left the plan, you can make changes. You dropped coverage with PACE. So PACE is a program that if you meet certain qualifications, you need help in your home, you need help caring for your personal care, you can get connected with this program called PACE. And at least in Northern Indiana, there's a day center that you can go to. You have a care team of doctors, therapists, social workers that discuss your care. You might get in-home care as well, and they help manage your insurance as well, your Medicare and your Medicaid, and all of your care providers. Next slide. Oh, Susan has a question.
Well, actually, on our Facebook Live, Pamela has a question, and I want
Yes.
you answered it, but I want to make sure she understands
Okay.
what her options are. So Pamela asks, while having creditable coverage and retiring, when is enrollment possible?
Mm.
So can you reiterate that for Pamela?
Yes, good question, Pamela. Thank you, Susan. So if you have creditable coverage, but now you're getting ready to retire or losing that creditable insurance, we advise that you kind of start the process 2 or 3 months before you're going to retire. Now, if it's under that, don't panic. I've had people contact me and they're like, oh, well, we're retiring in 2 weeks and they hadn't started the process yet. And I've had them get Medicare without a problem within those 2 weeks. So Pamela, if it's under 2 or 3 months, don't panic. You still got time. But if ideally 2 to 3 months, because there is a form called L564. Pamela, you can Google that and the Social Security website will come up with that form. You're going to take it to your employer. You're going to fill that out. And then there's an online application to get your A and or B, depending on what you already have or what you need. You'll fill that out, attach the form, let them know in the comment section on that application when you want your Medicare to start. And then ideally the month before your B is going to start, you want to get your other pieces, your supplement, your Advantage plan, your Part D plan. And you can do that with an insurance agent or you can do that with SHIP.
Is there a penalty if I wait to enroll in Medicare after I retire and I'm over the age of 65?
Good question, Melanie. If you had creditable coverage through an employer or your spouse's employer, then there's no penalty. But if you just turn 65, you're like, I'm not getting Medicare. I don't want to pay for it. I can get it later. I don't go to the doctor. Why do I need this? And you just go on about your business with no insurance, no doctor's appointments, then you would get a penalty at that point. But if you have creditable coverage, no. All great questions. All right, so unless there's any others, I think we're good to move to the next slide here.
Susan
I
has
have
a
a
question.
Okay,
I have another question.
okay, perfect.
What's the difference between credible and creditable?
Well, Susan, I'm going to let you answer that because, well, let me answer it, but you ladies may have to correct me. I didn't think there was a difference.
Right. I think it's
Okay.
two words for the same thing. Sometime when we're speaking, creditable is a little bit of a mouthful, so we might
Mhm.
say credible, but I have seen it used interchangeably.
Okay,
And
thank you.
just shout out to Pamela. If we have not answered your
Mhm.
question more thoroughly, just give us a call and we can discuss your options.
Thank you, Susan. No
So
more quick
Pamela
questions.
does say, so anytime during the year. Yes, that's
Yes,
right.
yes.
You'll have a special enrollment period as long as you had credible coverage
Mhm.
throughout the time when you were eligible for Medicare, but didn't pick it up, but you had credible coverage from your employer.
Perfect, thank you. No more trick questions, Susan.
I didn't mean that to be a trick question.
No, you're good, you're good. All right, so I think we are good to move to the next slide. Perfect, thank you. Some other times that you can change your Medicare plans is if you had a chance to join other coverage that was offered by your employer union, if you enrolled in other drug coverage that's as good as Medicare drug coverage, so that creditable coverage piece, or you enrolled in that PACE program of all-inclusive care for the elderly. And that's the program I mentioned on the last slide that can give you extra services. So if you enroll in it, then you get a special enrollment to change plans. Next slide, please. So some more chances to change is if your current plan made changes with its contract with Medicare. So if Medicare takes an official action, which is called a sanction, so not a good thing, because of a problem with the plan that you're in. So if the plan wasn't following Medicare's rules, if it did a no-no, then you will get a notice that you can change your plan if you choose to. If you're in a plan that the state recently took over because of financial issues, if Medicare ends your plan's contract or your plan ends its contract with Medicare. So if either side says we're not going to do this anymore and they rip up that contract, then you can make a change. If your Medicare Advantage plan, Medicare drug plan, or Medicare cost plans contract with Medicare isn't renewed. So it's up, they decide that they aren't going to move forward and the insurance company isn't going to be part of Medicare, then you get a special enrollment. Now, in each special enrollment could potentially have different timeframes on how long you have to make a change. Generally, though, it's not very long. Generally, it's about 63 days. So if you know something has happened and it applies to any of these that we're going through this morning, you want to make sure you jump on it pretty quickly. And when in doubt, you can go to medicare.gov and look for the time frame, or you can call a SHIP counselor and our call center number will be on the slides towards the end. And we can help you navigate if you really do qualify for that special enrollment and how long you have. But if you know that something is changing, you want to jump on it because you may not have a whole heck of a lot of time. Next slide, please. All right, so some other special situations. So if you have Medicare and Medicaid, or you have extra help. Susan, can you give us a 30-second spiel on extra help?
Yes, Extra Help is a assistance plan administered by Social Security that helps pay some or almost all of your prescription drug costs and your premium to have that insurance.
Perfect. Thank you, Susan. So if you have Medicare and Medicaid and or extra help, then you may have extra times during the year that you can make changes to your Medicare. Last year, those used to be quarterly changes, and this year they moved into monthly changes. So you are allowed a special enrollment basically every month to make a change if you so choose to. If you have Medicare and get full Medicaid benefits, again, you've got more opportunities to make changes. Again, that's the monthly changes. If you find out that you won't be eligible for extra help next year, losing extra help, or heck, even losing Medicaid, gives you a special enrollment to change your plan. Because again, you might be on that specific plan because it works well with Medicaid or extra help, but it may not be a good plan for you without that extra assistance. So you have an opportunity to make changes to make sure you're on the best plan for you for your current situation. If you can't get premium-free Part A coverage and you signed up for Medicare Part B during the general enrollment period, which is that time frame from January 1st to March 31st, then you get a special enrollment to make some changes. If you qualify for extra help, which pays for your Medicare prescription or helps with those costs, like Susan said, if you have a state pharmaceutical assistance program, then you can get a special enrollment. If you enrolled in a state pharmaceutical assistance program and you lost that eligibility, then you get another special enrollment. Let's say you dropped your supplement, also called a Medigap, for the first time, and you joined in a Medicare Advantage plan, and you're still in that yearly trial period. So that trial period is you had a supplement for however long, could be a year, could be 20 years, and you decided you wanted to try the Advantage plan out. So you drop your supplement, you go into an Advantage plan for the first time, and within that first 12 months of having that Advantage plan, you can say, I don't want this Advantage plan anymore. drop it, go back to your supplement company, say, hey, I want my supplement, my Medigap back, and they'll put you right back in that. And they won't look at your pre-existing conditions. So that's guaranteed issue where you're just guaranteed to get a plan. And then there might be case by case circumstances. So maybe the hospital system where you live that you go to see your doctors and have tests done, maybe they are no longer going to be in network with the company you're with the Medicare plan. You may be able to contact Medicare and say, this is my circumstance. You know, my hospital system is dropping the Advantage plan company I have, and there's nowhere else I can go in my town or surrounding towns. So I would like a special enrollment to change my plan to an insurance company that will work for me with the doctors that I go to. Now, they may say no, but they may also say, yes, we'll grant you that special enrollment. So if you have a situation that isn't listed on any of these slides, you can reach out to us at SHIP and we can talk you through the situation. We can make sure that we're not missing a special enrollment, and we can help you contact Medicare if needed to request a special enrollment, as I call them. All right, next slide, please. All right, so before we go over this slide, Susan or Melanie, can you think of any other questions?
No, I think you did a great job, and I just want to say, you know, there are exceptions to every rule. So kind of like what Megan said, you know, if you have a situation or a predicament that you're in, you know, it never hurts to call and check, maybe talk to your insurance company or a SHIP counselor or Medicare directly, and we can try to get to the bottom of that and find a solution. And like Megan said, there's different time frames on these, so just making sure that when you are notified that you do need to make a change, to act on that quickly. So, all right, Susan, she's got a question.
Wonderful.
Pamela wants to know, they just got a special help for her husband's mother. So she wants clarification about, here's what is written. You are saying Medicare supplement and Part D can be changed once a month. My short response is no, only under special circumstances. So can you do a brief refresh on when you can change your Medicare supplement and then when you can change your Part D plan? Just probably the most common times for that.
Yes, I certainly can. And Pamela, I think you're thinking of when I said if someone has Medicaid or extra help, they can change their Medicare plans monthly if needed. So if that family member just got Medicaid or extra help, then there's going to be those monthly circumstances. But if, let's say, they don't have Medicaid, you cannot, or extra help, you cannot change monthly. So for supplement, when you're new to Medicare, you can get a supplement with guaranteed issue, meaning that they're not going to look at pre-existing conditions and you're guaranteed a plan. And that guaranteed issue when you're new to Medicare is a 6-month window. So if you get a Medigap within those 6 months, you have guaranteed issue. And then as long as you keep that plan, or as long as you don't drop that plan, then you can keep it without any problem. You know, you're paying that premium. But let's say the premium goes up and you want to go to a different company for the supplement / Medigap. If you're out of your 6-month guaranteed issue window, you are most likely going to have them do the pre-existing condition review, and they could deny you at that point. So Medigap supplements, same thing, 2 different names. Once you're on it, you may want to try to stay with that plan because otherwise you've got pre-existing conditions. And keep in mind with supplements, the windows to change your supplement is different than Part D or Advantage plan. you can change your supplement whenever you want. However, you've got that guaranteed issue, which is your important piece, not so much enrollment periods, but guaranteed issue. And again, guaranteed issue means that they're not going to look at pre-existing conditions. Now, there are a few guaranteed issue periods that you may have throughout your lifetime, but the biggest one is when you're new to Medicare. So now let's talk about Advantage Part D recap. So when you're new to Medicare, fall open enrollment, Advantage plan open enrollment. If you have to do the general enrollment period because you did not get A and or B when you should have when you were new to Medicare, then you can get or change your Part D or Advantage plan. There was another one that I want to mention and it just flew out of my head. Ladies, can you think of any other major times to change your plans? Because it just flew right out.
If your plan goes out of business or if you move out of your plan service area.
Yes. Thank you, Susan. All right. So Pamela, let us know if that helps. Hopefully that didn't confuse you even more. And you can give us a call at this number that's on the slide here, 1-800-452-4800, and we'd be happy to answer any additional questions that you have. You can also visit us online at medicare.in.gov and social media. And if you're watching us live, you found us on social media. These videos are on our Facebook page, and we also have a YouTube page that our videos are on. So you can watch us after the fact. And if you are watching the recording, you can still chat in your questions, and because we still monitor those. So we will watch for any new questions and respond to those. Ladies, any other last minute questions?
I'm just going to slide in here. Pamela, I think you'll especially be interested to know. We offer quarterly webinars for folks planning, and we call that new to Medicare. You don't have to be new to Medicare to join. You don't have to be planning to join Medicare in the next year or so. Sometimes hearing the information more than once helps out. So that webinar is promoted on our Facebook page. So there is an event that you can go to on our Facebook page, and it has the registration information attached to it there. So you will have to click on that registration link, which will take you to Eventbrite, and then you'll get an email once you register, and then that will be your way to join us. So that is on March 20th, and it is at 6:30 Eastern time. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the one down here in the South on Central Time. So, all right. I always have to talk slow so the ladies can be like, yes, you're right. But I just wanted to give a kind of a quick commercial on that. And then I think we've got all of our questions answered, so I can wrap things up for us. We've kind of got a twofer this week, so we'll be back on Wednesday, the 12th. It's our What to Know Wednesday. And we're taking a field trip. So we're going to go check out our call center and see all the magic that happens there. Susan's going to be doing a live remote from the call center, and I'll be handling things here in Evansville to make sure we're all connected. So I think that'll be a fun one, just to kind of learn some of the behind the scenes, what happens when you call our call center and all the things that go along with that. And then we're going to wrap up the month with a presentation on Medicare savings programs. So everybody likes to learn how to save money, and Susan's going to tell us how, and some programs that exist that can help you with some of your out-of-pocket Medicare expenses. So super excited about this month, and we're glad that you started it off with us with our first presentation with March. And huge shout out to Megan for preparing this presentation for us today, and Susan for being our support on the chat. So ladies, I think it's time to say have a great week.
I agree.
Great week.
Bye, everyone.